Good morning, students. In the last session, we have discussed about the working of the double acting cylinder for this single sided 5 by 2 air operated valve. Sorry. Now, in this session, we will be discussing on this double acting cylinder, but we are having here double air operated double sided 5 by 2 valve. Okay, so in order to control this, what are the necessary controlling valves, lower level valves, that we will see, and we will see how to actually control the components, and how we can automate the process of extension and retraction of the double acting cylinder. Now here we can see there is a air service unit, and from air service unit the air supply is given to this 3 by 2 valve having a push button and this limit switch 1s2, that is a 3 by 2 valve with roller lever. Input is also given to this 5 by 2 valve double sided air operated. Okay, this is the first position of the rod end, that is 1s1, and this is the second position of the rod end, that is 1s2. In that case, the piston will be on the left hand side and right hand side respectively. Now see, as we have discussed about working of the valve, the port is having ports on the valve is having or having ports on the casing of this valve, and the ports for the block will coincide with the valve ports. So whenever it happens, the air will get transferred as per the design for the lining between the ports. Okay, so as per this, in case of this 5 by 2 double sided valve, the air which is given to the input port of the valve, that will transfer the air to the output side through this port 2. So you know the sequence: 5 1 3 4 2. Okay, so input given at 1 will be given to 2, and since this wall ports are connected as right to right and left to left, and the line is transferring the air from input side to the output side, that air will be transferred to the or given to the right hand side of the piston. And whenever it happens, the piston has to be on the extreme left side, or it has, if it is on the extreme right side, then it has to move towards the right side, sorry, left side. And on the same time, the air present on the left hand side of the piston, that has to come to this, and it has to pass towards the input side, and it will be exhausted to the atmosphere. Since the nature of this lining is to take the air from output side to the input side, so this is what the structure of the right side block. And whenever the force is applied from the left hand side, this total wall will slide inside the casing, and this will take the position of the right side block, and the right side block will shift towards right side. Okay, so because of this, the linings inside this left side block will now take a control of the air which is on the output side as well as on the input side. That means it will be transferring the air which is given to this port 1. It will be transferring the air to the output side at port 4. In case of this right side block, it goes to second port. So here it will be given to fourth port. And this second port of the valve will be transferring the air to the input side. Means the air which was going inside the cylinder from the right hand side port, that will be given to the atmosphere through this port number 3. Okay, so here whenever we connect the left side block, we will get extension of the cylinder, and whenever we are activating this right side block, we will get retraction of the cylinder. So left block extension of the cylinder, right block retraction of the cylinder. So you have to remember this. So whenever we are in need of extension, we have to activate left side block, as well as we have to make sure that जेव्हा आपल्याला extension मिळवायचं आहे, means initially it should be retracted, and whenever we want to get a retraction of the cylinder should be initially extended. Meaning whenever whenever we want extension, we have to activate this left side block. Okay, and before activating this valve, this right side block should be in active connection with this cylinder, and there should not be pressure on the right hand side of the valve. Okay, and because of this, what will happen, we can apply pressure on the left hand side of the valve, and that will give us extension of the cylinder. Second case, whenever we want retraction for the cylinder, we say that our initial condition should be like it should be initially extended. So if it is required to extend initially, then this left side block should be in connection with this cylinder. Initially हा left side block connected असला पाहिजे. And if this is the required condition, there is an additional condition to this. There should not be pressure on the left hand side of this controlling valve. Then and then only, by applying pressure on the right hand side of this valve, we can get retraction. Okay, now this is about the working or controlling of this cylinder by using this 5x2 air operated double sided valve, pneumatic valve. Now the question is how to control this left side and the right hand side. Now in order to control that, we will be using this 3x2 valve with push button and this 3x2 valve with roller lever. Now this together will be called as a limit switch. Okay, so here see what will happen whenever we are pressing the push button of this valve, that we will discuss here. So whenever we are pressing this push button, and that it's as it's spring written, the block will slide inside this casing of the valve, and the connections will be given to the left side block. Okay, that will shift, and whenever it happens, the supply given to the 3x2 valve with push button, that will be transferred, because इथे तो block झालेला आहे. So whenever this block comes in contact with the outer ports, then the air coming to this input port will go to the output side, that is port number 2, and that will be transferred to left side of the valve. And whenever this side is getting pressurized, and initially we will consider that there is no any pressure or there is no any wall on the right hand side. So what we will do, we will just go step by step as per our requirement. Then for our requirement we will be connecting the components or the controlling walls. Once our circuit diagram or system is ready, we'll discuss whether there is any problem in the system or whether we are getting the output correctly or not. Okay, so this will be our steps. That means first we have to prepare or design the system, and once the system is designed, we'll have to check once, that is, we are getting the correct process or correct output. Sorry. So that air will apply pressure on the left hand side. So this wall or this blocks will slide inside the casing, and is a connection set that will get shifted to this left side block. Now we'll see how this block how these linings are working inside the left side block. Now the input is given to this port 1 for the wall, for the ports on the casing. Now this port 1 is taking air to the output side at port 4. Okay, you know the sequence, that is 5, 1, 3, 4, 2. Okay, so 1 is taking to port 4, and since we are connecting this left to left and right to right, so what will happen, this left will take the air to the left side of this piston, and it has to apply pressure on the left side of the piston, and the air which is initially present on the right hand side of the piston, that is open, that will be open to the atmosphere through these linings of the wall. And because of the air is open to the atmosphere, and that air is having around 5 to 6 bar pressure, so it has to go to the atmosphere because of the pressure difference, so it will exhaust into the atmosphere. Okay, so because of this there won't be any pressure on the right hand side of the piston, and there is a pressure on the left hand side of the piston, which is around 5 to 6 bar, and because of such a high pressure, that piston has to move on the right hand side. Rod end also has to come to 1:2 position from this 1:1 position, and while this extension is going on, uh, if we release the push button, then what will happen? Let's say this extension is going on, cylinder is extending very slowly. Okay, let's say just consider that, because normally what will happen or what happens, cylinder extends within a fraction of second. Okay, because the pressure is high, and for at that level of pressure, the cylinder extends within a fraction of second. Okay, means तुम्हाला कदाचित दिसणारही नाही तो मूव होताना. uh, at one moment you will find this rod end at one, and at next moment, okay, whenever it is stopping at this position, you will hear some sound, because what will happen, the piston will get restricted somewhere here, obviously, and because of that there will be some noise or some sound of just like tapping like this. So whenever it stops here, you can see it. Okay, so you cannot see the movement, you can see at this the rod end is at 1:1, and for next fraction of second or for next moment it will be at 1:2. So obviously it will move with high speed, so this is okay. My meaning of my statements is, uh, whenever this block is getting in connection with this cylinder ports, the air which is coming to this port 1 of the total casing or wall, casing of the wall, the air has to come inside the cylinder from this left side port, and the air present on the other side has to exhaust into the atmosphere. So because of this, extension will happen, and uh, sorry, once this block is in connection with the cylinder, if you release this push button, there won't be any effect on the uh, status of the wall. Why? Because the wall which we have considered here is a double sided. So unless and until there is a pressure on the right hand side of this wall, that means unless and until we are applying pressure on the right hand side of the wall, this block will not change its status. Okay, because initially pressure कुठे होता left hand side. Okay, when we release this push button, what will happen? This controls of the linings that will get shifted to the right side block, and the air which is up to this left hand side of this wall, that has to exhaust into the atmosphere through this lining, right side lining of the wall. Okay, so here what is happening, the air will get exhausted into the atmosphere, and there won't be any pressure on the left hand side of this wall. So whenever we apply pressure on the right hand side, we will get a retraction. Okay, and our condition is getting satisfied. That is what, whenever we are applying pressure on one side of this wall, since it's double sided, whenever we are applying pressure on the one side of the wall, there should not be any pressure on the other side of the wall. Okay, so as per this condition, we can apply pressure as per our requirement on the right hand side of the wall. Now see here, whenever this rod end will reach to 1s2 position, what will happen? This limit switch 1s1, if we are using any 1s1 limit switch, then this limit switch 1s1 will get unpressed, and whenever this rod end reaches to this 1s2 position, this 1s2 limit switch will get pressed. Now see here, our requirement is what? We want retraction as soon as we are getting extension. Okay, that means there should be some checkpoint, or there should be some checking of the status of this cylinder, or we can say there should be some feedback taking arrangement, or there should be some mechanism that will check whether the cylinder is extended completely or not, and once it is checking that is cylinder is extended, it will retract that cylinder. Okay, so so here so here we are placing this limit switch 1s2, so which will take care of that. It will just check whether this rod end is at this position or not. Okay, and this rod end is coming to this position means what? Obviously cylinder has completed its 100% stroke. So initially, this is what is simple limit switch, simple 3x2 wall with this roller lever. Okay, roller lever is just to getting pressed, just for getting pressed whenever this rod end passes over it. So this is just a 3x2 wall. Okay, that can be actuated, which can be actuated by using this roller lever. Okay, so here obviously it's a spring return, means initially this right side block is in active condition, and that will be sending the air which is on the output side to the atmosphere. Okay, through this linings, that is from port number 3. Now in order to get output from this wall, that is what, in order to pass the air from input side to the output side and to apply pressure on the right hand side of this wall, we have to actuate this, or this should get pressed somehow. Now as we are keeping this limit switch at this 1s2 position, means whenever the rod end comes at this 1s2 position, this roller lever will get pressed. Okay, and whenever this is getting pressed, this lining, as the air is coming at this port 1 for the or input port of the valve, and whenever this lever is getting pressed, what will happen, the blocks or the valve will slide inside this casing of that, and the air which is coming to this port 1, that will get passed to this output side, that is at port 2, and that will get transferred to the right hand side of the wall. Now pressure will get applied on this right hand side of the wall as soon as this 1 is 2 is getting pressed. So here, so whenever this 1 is 2 rod end comes to this 1 is 2 position, 1 is 2 limit switch will get pressed and it will apply the pressure on the right hand side, and then it will activate this right side block. And you know what will happen in case whenever this right side block is getting active, what will happen, this air coming at this port 1 of this 5 by 2 wall, in case of this right side block, that will go to the output side at port 2, and since this port is connected to right side, so it will send air on the right hand side of the piston. In that situation, this piston will be on the extreme right side. Okay, so there will be air on the left hand side of the piston. Now that air will be connected to the atmosphere, or will be in contact with the atmospheric air through this lining, or because of this lining inside this right side block. There will be pressure difference around 4-5 bar. So obviously the air has to move to the atmosphere, or it will exhaust into the atmosphere through this wall. So over here, this port number 3 will be idle and port 5 will be in active condition. Okay, so here the thing is different, that is port number 3 will be in active condition and port 5 will be inactive or idle. So now reverse motion will be there, that is piston which is on the extreme right side, that has to move towards left side, means there will be retraction for the cylinder, and whenever this piston is moving in the leftward direction, the rod end has to move in the leftward direction. And whenever this is happening, or we can say whenever this rod end is leaving this 1 is 2 position, the limit switch which is present at this 1 is 2 will get unpressed, and as this one is getting unpressed, the contacts will get shifted to the right side block, because there won't be any pressure because of unpressing of this roller lever. Roller lever unpress होते, and because of this there is no pressure on the left hand side, hence because of the spring right side block will get active, and there which is applying pressure on the right hand side, that will get exhausted into the atmosphere in this way. Okay, and hence whenever this rod end leaves this 1 is 2 position, there won't be any pressure on the right hand side of this wall. Okay, so whenever this rod end is in between the 1 is 2 and 1 is 2 1 is 1 and 1 is 2 position, no any side will be in active condition, because sorry, because whenever this cylinder is starting its forward journey, we will be releasing this push button. Okay, means there won't be pressure on this side, and whenever this rod end is moving towards 1 is 2, means it has not reached to this position, it's in between 1 is 1 and 1 is 2, then in that case both sides will be unpressurized. That means there won't be any pressure on either side. Okay, so this is the condition. So as per this, now you can just focus on it, which components we are using here, and you can get something from this. Now what is that something? Here we are using a 3 by 2 valve with push button. That means what? We are making this system dependent on one operator. Okay, we are just handling this system manually. That means pressing of this push button, for pressing of this push button we'll need one person, and whenever it will he will press this push button, the system will work, and whenever he releases this push button, the system has to work in the opposite direction. Okay, or this cylinder will retract, and that means what, one person is required for this, for performing this task. Now, in order to make this completely automatic, what we have to do, we have to replace this push button. I'm not speaking about this wall, I'm just speaking about this push button. Okay, the way of actuating this wall by just this roller lever. Okay, and this altogether limit switch will place it at 1s1 position. So what will happen, whenever we start the supply from this air service unit, the air will come to this limit switch. I'll call this as 1s1 limit switch, and this is already 1s2 limit switch. So when since the rod end is at 1s1 position, this roller lever will be in press condition. This is not a push button right now, because we are considering this as a roller lever. Okay, so this roller lever will be in press condition, rod end is at 1s1 position. So this connections will be on the left hand side, means the air which is coming from the air service unit will get applied on the left hand side of this wall, and thing will be different. Means what, as soon as we are passing this or starting the supply from the air service unit, this air will come inside the cylinder from left side and will get extension of the cylinder. And as soon as we are getting extension, or whenever this rod end starts its forward journey, what will happen, the 1s1 limit switch will get unpressed. So because of this, the right side block will become active, and because of this, there won't be any pressure on the left hand side of this wall, because that air will get exhausted into the atmosphere. And whenever this rod end reaches to this 1s2 position, the 1s2 limit switch will get pressed, and the left side block will become active, and that will apply pressure on the right hand side of this wall. And because of this, right side block will get active, that will send air on the right hand side of the piston, and the air which is present on the left hand side will exhaust the air into the atmosphere, because of the pressure difference. And the rod end has to move, or the piston has to move on the extreme left side. And whenever this rod end is leaving this 1s2 position, and it is starting its leftward journey, this 1s2 limit switch will get unpressed, and because of this, the connections will get shifted to the right side block. And this is how we'll get retraction for the cylinder, and rod end will come to 1s1 position, again 1s1 will get pressed, and this cycle will continue till we are stopping the supply from this air service unit. So now this is how we are making this system completely automatic. Just by starting the supply, we can get the extension and retraction continuously. जोपर्यंत आपण सप्लाय स्टॉप करत नाही तोपर्यंत आपल्याला हे आउटपुट मिळत राहील, which that is extension the retraction will get infinite number of cycles जोपर्यंत आपण सप्लाय कट ऑफ करत नाही तोपर्यंत. Okay, so for that we will be requiring two limit switches that will check the positions of the rod end. Okay, so after this we'll discuss about uh, what how to make the process dependent of the other process, because this is about handling or controlling one process. Okay, now we'll discuss about how to control two processes and how to sequence those processes. So now here the objective is to sequence the two processes. Now we are having one single acting cylinder. Uh, we are giving name to that cylinder as A, and one double acting cylinder, that is cylinder B. Now here our target is we have to extend first cylinder, that is single acting cylinder, and after extension of first cylinder we have to extend the another cylinder. Okay, that is whenever this rod end is coming to this 1s2 position, we have to start the forward journey of the double acting cylinder. Okay, so and we'll in this way we'll make the processes dependent of each other. Now here, as we are considering single acting cylinder, so we'll see which components are required in order to control this single acting cylinder. So the first component is the AND valve. Then for this AND valve we'll need this 3x2 valve with push button, and we'll need one limit switch, that is what a 3x2 valve with roller lever. We'll see why this limit switch is called as a 2s1. We'll discuss about this later, but we'll consider that there is one limit switch and the requirement of that is just like this, that is, or we can see about this. Okay, the requirement for this setup is this limit switch, which is giving second another input to this AND valve, that should be active. The limit switch which is giving another input. Why another input? The first input is given from this 3x2 valve with push button. So the another input which is coming at the input port of the AND valve, that should be active. How will it be active? For that active input, we must actuate this valve initially, or we can say in other words, this valve or this roller lever should be initially pressed, or we can say that this limit switch should be initially pressed or active. Okay, by keeping this initially active we can get the active input at port 3 of the AND valve. Now see here, I just forgot this representation over here. So it's a sign of initially pressed. Okay, this is the sign of initially pressed. This is just some cross section, partial cross section of the this rod. Okay, so this represents that it is initially pressed, and the symbol will represent that it is not initially pressed. It's unpressed. This is unpressed. So here we need one limit switch which is initially pressed, and there will be, because of that, there will be active input at this port of the AND valve. Now this is a requirement for the single acting cylinder. Now for this double acting cylinder we'll need one valve which is having two ports on the output side. Now this is the output side. These are the two input ports for the double acting cylinder. Now I said that there are two ports on the output side, because इथे जरी चार दिसत असले बट ते चार आहेत ते दोन ब्लॉक्स साठीचे आहेत, दोन पोझिशन साठीचे आहेत. एका पोझिशनला ॲट अ टाइम किती असणार आहेत? दोन असणार आहेत. अँड दॅट विल कोइन्साइड विथ द पोर्ट्स ऑन द केसिंग फॉर दॅट वॉल. म्हणजे केसिंगवर ॲक्च्युअल कनेक्शनसाठी किती पोर्ट्स अवेलेबल आहेत? ओनली टू. ओके, दॅट विल बी connected in such a way that left to left and right to right. Okay, and then this will be the input from the air service unit. Okay, so input side ला फक्त एकच पोर्ट असेल जो त्या लाईनला कनेक्ट केला जाईल इनपुट लाईनला, and this will be two silencers. हे दोन silencers असतील, port number 5 and port number 3. So 5, 1, 3. 1 is pressure port, input port. Baki, you know the inside logic, or the logic for the lines, or the logic for the internal structure for the block. Now here, in order to control this 5 by 2 double sided air operated valve, will be in need of one controlling valve which will apply pressure on this left hand side of the valve as per our requirement, and one more controlling valve which will apply pressure on the right hand side of this valve as per our requirement. Okay, so in all will be in need of total 4 limit switches, we can say, or uh, 4 3 by 2 valves with some required actuating techniques. Okay, so we'll see why the names are given as 2s1, 1s2, 1s1. We'll go step by step, and as per our requirement we'll give name to this limit switches. Okay, connections are perfect. Just I forgot one representation for this roller lever, just to show this is initially pressed. Baki, you can understand that this left side block is in active condition, means this is initially pressed. Okay, but this याच्यामुळे marks जातात normally. Okay, so here we'll start the process. Now see, our requirement is what? The supply will be given to each and every component from this air service unit. Whenever we press this push button, whenever we press this push button, that means manual control is there. In that case, what should happen? The cylinder should extend. Which cylinder? Single acting cylinder should extend. That means the rod end has to move towards, the rod end of cylinder A has to move towards 1s2 position from 1s1 position. Okay, and whenever this position is reached, this cylinder should start his forward journey. Okay, so this 1 is 2, at this 1 is 2 position will keep one limit switch which will get pressed whenever this rod end of cylinder A coming to 1 is 2 position. That means this limit switch will just rotate this, and याला आपण vertical connect करू शकतो. Vertical means roller lever will be on the top side, completely turned by 90 degree, and because of this what will happen, whenever the rod end is coming over here, this lever will get pressed in this way. Okay, and whenever this lever is getting pressed in this way, the connections will get shifted to the left side block, and because of this the controls will come to the left side. uh, the air coming at this input side will go to the port 2, and as this is connected, that means from the casing it is connected to this left side of this wall, this block will get active, the left side block will get active, and the connections will get shifted to the left side block for this cylinder. Okay, and see what is happening over there. Because of this line, okay, forward line, the supply coming at port 1, that will go to the left side of this piston, and air present on the right hand side of the piston, that will exhaust into the atmosphere because that will be open. So piston will move towards right side, it will leave the 2s1 position, and because of this, whenever it reaches to 2s2 position, the limit switch placed at 2s2 position will get pressed. Okay, and whenever this is leaving the position, 2s1 limit switch will get unpressed. So whenever it is coming over here, 2s1 will get unpressed. And see, our target is to extend this cylinder B after extension of this cylinder, and to retract this cylinder B after retraction of this cylinder. Okay, Now this we are doing, there is no problem. So this working is correct. That means we are, if we want extension for the cylinder, after extension of the first cylinder. Okay. Now see, whenever this rod end is reaching to second position, there is no requirement for checking the status of this cylinder, second cylinder. Okay, we have to just make two processes dependent of each other. Means extension of the second cylinder over the extension of first one, and retraction of first cylinder over the after the retraction of first cylinder. Okay, that means we'll keep two checkpoints, whether first cylinder is extended or not. That is the first one. And second checkpoint is whether the first cylinder is retracted or not. So this is how we are checking for 1s2. We have used 1s2 limit switch to extend the cylinder. Now I'll take you step by step to the final logic. Now what will happen whenever this rod end is leaving the position? What will happen over here? Since we have called this as 2s1 and this is initially pressed, because right now you can see it's a 2D picture of the circuit diagram or system. uh, the status of two cylinders, both cylinders is initially retracted, and for that initially retracted condition, this is the status of the limit switches and the controlling valves. Now this is initially pressed for the condition of initially retracted cylinder A and cylinder B. Okay, so this will be in press condition. This will be continuous. The applying pressure on the input port of the AND valve. Okay, so whenever this cylinder is extending, cylinder B is extending, the rod end will leave the 2s1 position, and as soon as this is leaving the 2s1 position, this will get released. This roller lever will get released, and the connections will get shifted to the right side block. Means the air which is coming at this port 3 for the AND valve, that will get exhausted into the atmosphere. Okay, and because of this, they are present on the left hand side of the piston, that will exhaust completely into the atmosphere, and this spring will take the piston to the initial position, that is extreme left side. So whenever this rod end is leaving this position, this cylinder will start his leftward or backward journey. Okay, now if the stroke length for the both cylinders is same, then in that case, uh, as soon as this is leaving the position 2s1, this cylinder will start his backward journey. Means after extension of this cylinder B, cylinder A will retract completely. It will just, for the next movement, it will complete its journey. Okay, this cylinder or the rod end will complete its backward journey. Okay, so this is how it will happen. And whenever this rod end is coming to this 1s1 position, the limit switch which is placed at this right side, the limit switch which is placed at this right side, that will apply pressure on the right hand side of this cylinder, and the rod end which is at 2s2 position, that has to come to 2s1 position. Now we have discussed many times the working of the internal linings of the block of this 5x2 valve. So you know already how it will work. Also we have decided that left side block will give extension, right side block will give retraction for this general structure. Okay, that means lines that are drawn inside these blocks. So whenever this rod end of the cylinder A reaching to 1s1 position, the limit switch 1s1 will get pressed. If this 1s1 is initially unpressed, because whenever this rod end is at 1s2 position, obviously the 1s1 limit switch will be in unpressed condition, means there won't be any pressure on the right hand side of that of this wall, and by using this 1s2 position, we were applying pressure on the left hand side of this wall. That means our condition was getting satisfied. That means whenever we apply pressure on one side of this wall, controlling wall, there should not be pressure on the other side of the wall. So, and you can easily understand that for controlling this wall, we are using two positions of the same cylinder, different positions of the same cylinder, and because of this, what will happen, there won't be any problem in case of satisfying this condition, that is positive pressure 0, then positive pressure 0 pressure. Okay, so this is what the requirement. या साईडला प्रेशर अप्लाय करायचं असेल तर त्या केसमध्ये we have to release this, and if you want to apply pressure on this side, we have to release pressure on the other side. Okay, then and then only we'll get the effect as per the pressure application for this wall. Otherwise, if we keep the pressure like if you are applying pressure on the left hand side, and you have already applied pressure on the right hand side, and you are keeping that pressure continuously for the system, then that is what will happen. Initially the system will be having the output as per the nature of this right side block, and after application of this left side pressure, uh, there won't be any changes in case of the status of the wall. राईट साइड ब्लॉकच ॲक्टिव्ह कंडिशनमध्ये राहील, लेफ्ट साइड ब्लॉक ॲक्टिव्ह होणार नाही. बट इफ यू रिलीज द प्रेशर ऑन द राईट हँड साइड ऑफ दिस वॉल, then what will happen, this block, left side block, will become active because of the positive pressure on the presence of the positive pressure on the left hand side of the wall. Okay, so we have to take care of this requirement every time. So whenever this rod end is reaching to 1s1 position, this limit switch will this roller lever will get pressed, and it will apply the pressure on the right hand side. Okay, since this rod end has already left this 1s2 position, there won't be pressure on the left hand side of the controlling wall. Okay, so the rod end which was present at this position, that will come back to 2s1 position, and what will happen, the 2s1 limit switch will get pressed again, and the air will come to this port of the end wall, and if we keep this push button in press condition continuously, in that case the air which is coming at this port, that will extend this cylinder. Okay, and again the system will go for the second cycle. Now this is how it will work. Now this is about controlling of these two cylinders and making the processes dependent on each other. Here we are dealing with the single acting cylinder A and double acting cylinder B. Now in the next session we will discuss about uh, what or how to control the both double acting cylinders, and how to tackle the required condition, how to satisfy that condition, and how to get different processes. Okay, number of processes will be there. We'll just see how to draw the or how to design the system for one process, and बाकीचे आपण डिस्कस करू. So thank you so much. Rest will see in the next sessions.